Next up on This Week in NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson's pain.
The low Chevrolet is a complete wreck.
Is Martin's gain.
The points margin down to 73.
Meanwhile, Kurt Busch slams the record book shut on brother Kyle.
Kurt Busch will go to victory lane here.
And as the sun rises on the contenders, don't turn your back on the champ. Instead, turn on Twin for a full Phoenix preview, a hard-hitting Texas review, and a smoking good time. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. And good Monday evening, everybody. I'm Steve Burns. Glad you're with us here in the Speed Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, alongside Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer. Glad you're here, Jimmy.
You're a handsome man, Steve.
Thank you. That's something I don't hear every day.
I just noticed that.
You're well groomed.
I've known him for 25 years. He said, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Craig Biffle and Michael Waltrip. And, you know, guys, for the second week in a row, I think people are talking more about what happened early in the race than they are who won the race. Of course, Kurt Busch got the win, but lap 3, Jimmy Johnson receives contact from Sam Hornish, hits him again, and then hard into the inside retaining wall.
You know, right here, Sam gets a little bump by Rudiman. Just, you know, a racing deal, and Jimmy was in the wrong spot. The 77 gets a little loose, catches him, and Jimmy does a great job keeping that car off the wall, but then all at once he comes back. The 77 hits him, as you saw. Here it is here, the 77, bam. He doesn't hit the outside wall, fans, but as he comes back down, he gets caught by 77, then into the inside wall, guys. A lot of damage.
That's a concrete wall, too.
Yeah. A lot of damage.
I don't know if the 77 wouldn't have been there the second time, he might have been able to save it, you know, because he was headed downhill, but looked like he might have been able to keep it under control. And just once he caught the 77 again, it was all over.
Talked to David Rudiman. He said he just didn't know whether he even hit Sam or not, but he assumed he did. When they got ready to come off the corner, Sam didn't go as fast as David thought he would. And he said, if I made a mistake, I hate it. It was real close, and he was sad that he wrecked Sam, and especially took out the point leader. Obviously, that's a big blow to that team, and no one wants to be a part of that.
You know, Michael, as long as we've done this show with Chad, one thing I thought about when I was watching this, Chad always says that it starts on Friday. And he said, my job is to make sure that car is in the top 10. Jimmy started 12th. They normally are in the top 10. They're normally close to the front, but you know, I guess we can play what ifs all day.
And give Chad a lot of credit also. He was real adamant last week about this thing's far from over. He can't have any problems, or it'll invite a bunch of people. We'll have to move that yellow line, and I bet we do move it.
Oh, we'll see that in the next segment.
And,
yes, yes, it has.
You know,
I'm not back in, am I?
Yeah, well, I don't think so.
We're not going to move it that far.
No, you're below.
What's interesting, Chad was sitting here last week with you, and Michael and I were busting on him big time. And Chad, I'm sorry. I mean,
you were right, Chad.
You're right.
We're wrong.
That's why you are the crew chief, and we are wannabe drivers.
Greg, when they were talking about, and I was part of it too. I can't say them.
Right.
Chad was wincing. Don't say that.
He's wincing, yeah.
But it'll be so fun for the fans and for our sport to go to these last two races with the outcome very much in doubt. And a guy like Mark Martin, who's been so close to championship after championship, having a chance to race his teammate and win this thing.
I mean, what would it look like if Jimmy wouldn't have made it through that wreck last week, or Mark and Jeff Gordon wouldn't have been involved in the wreck? Either way, today would be a whole different story.
And, you know, quickly, we talk about, I'm a big guy. You can't have any mulligans. Well, Chad and Jimmy were on their way to not having any mulligans. Well, you know what? It didn't happen this weekend at Texas. They're needing a mulligan, and they had it.
And Michael's point, you've said this before, Jimmy has invited guys back in.
Yes, and I love that. Well, I don't love it for Jimmy because Jimmy's a great guy, and I think maybe the most underrated driver in the history of NASCAR. Does more with the race car than I think anyone's ever done.
What?
And going for a 4th championship that he can still get. Jeff's going crazy. We got to go.
But no, but Spence said it. It's not good for Jimmy Johnson. See, I tapped in.
Yeah, we're all.
But if you're a fan, hey, all of a sudden you have a race.
I think we got a great point battle going into Phoenix now with 2 or 3 other guys back involved.
Let's give Jimmy Johnson a lot of credit, though, man. What a great race car driver.
Michael. I agree.
Right. When we come back, we'll hear from championship leader Jimmy Johnson and see what kind of dent was put into his points lead. Plus, some of the other chasers had trouble of their own. All the highlights from Texas coming up. And later, Hot Laps will open up the debate: would shorter races make better racing? Stick around. This Week in NASCAR, we'll be right back.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today. And by AutoZone, because do-it-yourself doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Jimmy Johnson finished 38th yesterday at the Texas Motor Speedway, his worst finish in the last 34 chase races. Here's what Jimmy had to say after the race.
I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I wish Sam could have waited a little longer to hit something until I got by. He did hit a couple things tonight and can do that from time to time. So I was just on the outside when he lost it and collected me, and I tried to save it and bounced off a couple things and then hit the inside wall hard. But it's one of those deals. I've been saying all along this thing isn't over. Thankfully, we had a big points lead. We still have a nice points lead going into Phoenix, and we'll just dust ourselves off and go again next week.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be frustrating. You know, I've had that happen. You're racing on the outside of somebody. But, you know, in Sam's defense, he did have a little help from the 00. And that spot on the racetrack, I was having a hard time getting the gas down, too, you know, when I had all those cars around me. So it's, you know, it's just a tough spot.
We did practice, Greg. Friday, 6 different cars hit the wall in that same spot coming off to because of the way the transition is. Well, let's take a look at the point standings now and get updated with just 2 races remaining. Jimmy by 73 with 2 to go. And Greg, sorry, the yellow line dropped, but not that far.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, guys, is that we see how vulnerable this point system is. You know, you criticize NASCAR and say we need to change this point system, but yet Jimmy has one bad race, and all at once he goes from 184 to 73. So there is a lot to be said about the system, consistency based on consistency. So. You know, all in all, with Phoenix up this week, we all know that we could lose another 50 or 60 points and maybe allow, you know, going to Miami with 5 or 6 guys with a shot at it.
Yeah, Jimmy led this time last year by 106 over Carl Edwards. Now, Greg, you started 8th, finished 8th. Was it a good top 10, or was it a day that was frustrating?
And did you run anywhere besides 8th?
Yes, I did. I did run somewhere besides 8th. You know, it was a little bit of a frustrating day. You know, right from the green flag, my car just didn't want to turn like it did in practice, and you know, I really struggled with that. I couldn't run the top. I was too loose up top, and you know, I was stuck between 12th and 6th all day. I got the top to work a few times, passed a couple cars up there, but for the most part, you know, just was not a contender all day. You know, really a solid top 10 car, but that doesn't, you know, that's not going to get you wins and gain you points. A solid top 10.
What a fun track to race on.
It is a fun track.
I mean, because you start searching around. You know, you're down on the bottom. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go up to the top and give that a try. And there are different areas of the track where you can make better progress, and that's fun for the race car drivers to have options.
Michael, you finished 23rd. Marcus Ambrose and David Rudiman finished 15th and 16th, respectively. That doesn't tell the whole story.
Well, I was so proud of MWR yesterday. The engineers, the folks that worked so hard on building our new race cars. I mean, Marcus and David had 2 of the fastest cars in Texas. And what a great statement that is for our young team to be able to go to a track like that and perform at that level. So just hats off to them. Announced a new sponsor this weekend. Tums is going to sponsor David's car in 2010 and beyond. So we're gaining a little bit of momentum, Steve, and I'm just proud of our people.
All right, good job. Here's the Kurt Busch picture to be given away this week. To enter the Picture of the Week giveaway, go to speedtv.com, click the Shows tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page, and you'll see an email tab at the top. Put fuel mileage in the subject line and you'll be entered to win. Be sure to put your shipping address in the email. The winner, of course, revealed next week. The Jamie McMurray picture goes to Susan in New York. Coming up next, it was a family affair for much of the day at Texas, and Kyle Busch was trying to make history. Highlights next. Plus, tempers flared at Phoenix in the spring. We'll take a look back to that race. Do you remember who won? This week in NASCAR, we'll be right back. Let's take a look at the highlights from the Dickies 500 on the mile-and-a-half Texas Motor Speedway. The Busch brothers, both of them, were awfully good yesterday. Kyle Busch led the majority of the laps. Michael, Kyle, you were part of the Truck Series broadcast. Kyle trying to become the first driver in history to sweep all 3 races in one weekend.
Wow. What a performance he had all weekend long. His dominance in the Nationwide Series, you've almost become used to seeing that. But he has to race his rear end off in that truck to do what he's done. That's 5 starts in a row that he's won, Steve. What an accomplishment.
Yeah.
He's got over 270-some point lead in the Nationwide Series and dominated the race on Sunday night. That's in 3 different types of vehicles, 3 different crew chiefs, and 1 common denominator, the little Kyle Busch. Not little. The little Busch is what I meant to say. The younger Busch.
And the thing is that we know that, Kurt had a really good run at Atlanta in the spring and won. So basically similar tracks, Texas and Atlanta.
I think Texas is more like Atlanta than any other track on the circuit.
Because of the moving around.
The slipperiness.
And also the 18 car, what a good run for him and his new crew chief, Dave Rogers. So that would have been pretty cool if they did win, but they ran out of fuel.
It's history. Do you know that in 1971, Richard Petty and Bobby Allison both won 5 races in a row? And this year, Kyle Busch and Ron Hornaday did it, and it's the first time in major NASCAR series that it's been done again.
Larry McReynolds said that Larry was up on the chip.
Yeah, that's right. Did he have a bunch of notes?
Cool.
Yes, a stack.
You learn that stuff on speed.
I got to get me some notes, man.
Get a stack. Marcus Ambrose, as Michael said, had a great day. Comes into the pits in the 3rd position. They put a Packer in the right front. It cost him some time. You see,
He was in the wrong gear.
Yeah, he meant to go the other way. But he rallied from that. They were up front all day long. Marcus is so into his car. He's like, take a 16th of a Packer out. They did it. He said, ooh, that was a bad idea. Let's put that back in there.
A 16th?
Yeah, a 16th of an inch of a Packer is how delicate, and Greg will attest to this, is how sensitive these cars are. We're down to having 30-second ones now, Steve. How do you grab a 30-second?
Well, and if for you fans, Packers goes into shocks. If you pay tuned to NASCAR performance, you'd learn these things.
With Larry McReynolds.
And Chad Knaus.
Yep.
And Doug Richard.
All
right.
I learned a lot on that show.
I bet you do.
Packers.
I record it and watch it twice every week. The 48 team spent over an hour in the garage, working on that car. Now, here's the number to think about, guys. Easily they could have said, let's pack it up, let's go home. He would have finished 43rd. As it was, Greg, he finished 38th. That's a difference of 12 points.
Yeah, and 12 points. I lost the championship in the Craftsman Truck Series by 8 points. So certainly, and I lost in 05 by 35 points. So certainly this championship could come down to those 12 points.
But I also think that when I watch this with these crew members working so diligently to get this car back, that I think NASCAR needs to look at this and say, you know what, we have not got anybody hurt, but we can. And I think that we need to say, we need to cease the points at a certain point.
Even 35th.
Yeah, somewhere.
Because it just takes those.
Not hurt anybody, but we're fixing to hurt somebody, and I don't like it.
What if they quit at 35th? Wouldn't you still fix your car in case there's a bigger wreck and you could get up to get some points?
Well, I think, Michael, they have to look at that. Maybe, because if you look at Formula One and some of them things.
It's bred into you. You're going to fix your darn car.
I'm concerned about the crew members getting hurt because all the hot, sharp metal, hot.
Do you remember back in the 70s? Darrell Waltrip blew a motor. Maybe it was the 80s. Yeah. Darrell blew a motor. No, it was 70s. With Dygaard, he blew a motor at Nashville. They changed it in 20 minutes. Yeah. He blew up, and they changed the motor, and he went back on the racetrack in about 20, 25 minutes. NASCAR said you can't do that anymore. It's too dangerous. And what Jimmy's saying is maybe they need to look at how they can police you fixing a car. But it would be pretty subjective because you might want to fix your car, and they say you can't, and then there's a big wreck. Then now can I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. Good point.
All right, lap 174, big wreck in turns 1 and 2. Juan Montoya gets loose.
Look at Jeff Gordon. He was just in the bind. He was in that corner as fast as he could go. We've talked about how slick the track is. He needed to turn left. He tried to turn just a little bit harder, and his car got away from him.
That happened right in front of me.
Our Castrol Edge Smart Move of the race goes to Jeff Gordon for spinning and avoiding the wreck and not hitting anything.
I like Greg's move better. But we can't. Can we do that? We did it last week.
Castrol Edge Smart Move of the race.
Okay,
I mean, I was a little bit sideways. I'm like, oh, don't come off that wall.
Because Jeff was more lucky than anything.
Yeah.
You know, you go sliding through a wreck. Hey, check this out. Juan just runs into Carl and wrecks him. That shows you that's one of the greatest drivers in the whole world. That's how on the edge these cars are, and these drivers are. They're just fighting for every inch they can get. Now, when you mess up and make a mistake like Juan did there, you know, you got to fess up and just say, well, I got loose and I hit him. And I heard comments, Juan saying that maybe Carl cut him a little too close. And, you know, that just certainly wasn't the case. You're going to mess up every now and then. Just say, I messed up.
Yeah, Carl wasn't even that close.
Carl did perfect.
I was
and then
behind
he got
him.
wiped out.
I saw the deal.
Should we give you the Tissot Pit Crew Award or anything else
Yes,
while we're at it?
I'll take that.
You want that? Anything
Yes.
else?
Nope, just that.
Okay, got it. When we return, another fuel mileage thriller in the Lone Star State. More highlights coming up. Plus, hear what some of Jimmy Johnson's competitors said on the radio after his big wreck. Radioactive is still to come. We're coming right back.
The Smart Move of the Race has been presented by new Castrol Edge. Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge Advanced Synthetic. Nothing offers better wear and protection.
Glad you're back with us here on This Week in NASCAR. Let's move ahead into the highlights. Green flag pit stop time, about 70 laps to go. All the leaders start peeling off, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's running in the top 10. There's Mark Martin from the 5th spot, and Kyle Busch, who was leading. Now, second place, Kurt Busch stays on the track 4 more laps than those who had already stopped. He pits with about 65 to go. This is the Geico Greatest Pit Crew Award. It goes to Pat Tryson for leaving him out there. Kurt comes in leading, goes out in 6th. Doesn't look good short term, but it pays big dividends later, guys, in the sense that Kurt got his 20th win in the Sprint Cup Series.
Well, it's just sometimes you're fortunate. They took a gamble by giving up track position. You know, it would have been easy to follow all the leaders to pit road and said, you know, I can't give up a second or two a lap, which is what it basically amounted to. I can't give that up, Pat would have said. But he said, no, I want to make sure I can make it to the finish if this thing were to go green. We very rarely see one go green that long, but darn, to me, that's an exciting part of racing. You're sitting there trying to figure out who's going to make it, who doesn't. What's your strategy? How's your strategy going to play out? So, Pat, I'm going to give him that award, too. I'm not going to try to take that one, and I'm not going to give it to Greg.
No, Greg done.
What a great call by Pat Tryson and that team.
And I would like to say, too, just to throw this in there, I have so much admiration for Kurt Busch and Pat Tryson, because when Pat said a few weeks ago, hey, I'm going to go work at MWR, I mean, human nature being what it is, Greg, they could have gone this way very easily. But they both, I think their professionalism is to be respected.
Yeah, I mean, they dug in and got it done. You know, they worked hard together, and you know, that was a good call on Pat's part. You know, I would have had a hard time staying out there, but they were getting the fuel mileage to stay out there those extra few laps.
And then it came down to the end where everybody was wishing they had to maybe sacrifice a lap or two on the other end to get to where they needed to go on the big end. But don't forget this. Kurt won by over 25 seconds. I think it's the largest margin of victory since they went to electronic scoring back in the 90s. So a big victory. And my point is, he was fast. He was chasing his brother down and running right there with him. He didn't back into it because of fuel mileage. One of the fastest cars, one of the 2 fastest cars, won because
fuel mileage.
Because they got good gas mileage.
Yeah.
All right. Now, most teams, as we said, don't make it to the end. Some come down pit road. Greg Biffle, you pit with about 19 to go.
Yeah,
Two tires?
We were 2 tires. We were 10 laps short, so there was no way we were going to make it.
Mark Martin pits from 5th. Then guys start to run out. Dale Jr. runs out in 6th and stalls, leaving pit road. That cost him a lot of position.
Yeah, he wound up 25th, I think, and he had a really strong run all night long. This team, these guys, they just can't seem to catch a break. Everybody was gambling. Everybody was going for it. It bit Dale Jr. harder than it did anyone, though.
Yeah, that's got to be tough right there.
Kyle Busch runs out in the 18 with 3 laps to go. Kurt Busch inherits the lead, conserves enough fuel, and as Michael said, has a fast enough car. His second win of 2009. Now, Jimmy, I know you don't like quote-unquote fuel mileage races, but I would argue that that's part of the sport every single week.
I wouldn't consider that one a fuel mileage race, simply from the standpoint that you have to back up, like you guys said. You saw Greg was 10 laps short, and he knew it. But then you back up to what Pat Tryson did. Give this guy a tremendous amount of credit. And the reason why you have to give this guy a lot of credit is because the 18 and some of these guys could have possibly stretched another lap or two, and they didn't. Pat did. Pat ends up winning the race with that team.
I consider it a classic fuel mileage race, and I loved it because not as a race car driver. I'm out there worried about my stuff. I'm not paying much attention. Plus, I had 2 cars running the top 5 that ran out, so it didn't work out so good for me. But as a fan, man, you've got to have that happen occasionally so you can appreciate the strategy and the knowledge that these guys on pit road and these teams have about how to conquer one of these races. They're so hard to win, Steve, and to go win one the way Pat Tryson and Kurt did yesterday, I think is rewarding and it's fun to watch.
And I also think, Michael, too, that a lot of the crew chiefs got all this information in front of them. And the information being that in the past, we've had a caution with 30 to go at this track. And in the past, well, you know what? In the past doesn't relate to that race being run about 100 laps there nonstop.
Well, I'm not just saying this because Chad's one of our partners up here, but when that 48 car wrecked in the 3rd lap of the race, it was amazing to watch his composure once that car went to the garage area. Let's listen to this week's Radioactive.
Radio check, check 1, 2. 10-4, got you. Check 1, 2. I got you there. You got me okay? Got a copy. 10-4.
Green flag waves, and we're underway at Texas Motor Speedway.
Inside. Straight drive, baby. You get it inside, down. Get down and dig. Good job. Come on. Dig hard. 48 brake. All right, guys, we're going to need to get right front suspension, right rear suspension. It looked like he was going to hit the wall. He's tore up, Mark. He's definitely going to the garage. He's tore up pretty good.
I'd imagine the 48 will get back out there, but he is tore up extensively.
Maybe that teach all the media a little lesson. Go back and read their articles they wrote this morning and have to redo them.
Definitely will be a points race again now.
We got to get something to hold all this together. I'm not going to lie, this right here is a disaster. 99 still out there. He's the only one in the upper lane right now. Just wrecked, boys.
Spinning and hitting the outside wall. Together are Carl Edwards and Juan Pablo Montoya. Jeff Gordon spinning as well.
12 just blazed up, hit us again. Right side's killed, the back bumper's killed. He just lost it underneath you and saved it, came up and hit you, turned you around. Did he wreck? Oh, yeah. Did you hit anything, buddy? No, I didn't hit anything. That was a damn impressive slide. You know how much this reminds me of a legend car race? What's that? Because I got my brother in my mirror just stalking me. Who's coming from behind? Anybody with fuel? We pitted last, so we got the most gas. There you go, 3.5-second lead. Use it all, use it all. What does use it all mean? Use all the cushion you got. You want to finish on your back bumper. Hey, changes up here, saving all he can, man. Do the same. 10-4. Just needed a lap, right? 10-4. All we need is a lap here, bud. I'm out. Coming to you. I'm out. Down. Keep digging here. All right, now really start saving, because you got lots of cushion behind you. You got 8 seconds behind you. Yeah, baby. It's Miller time, baby. Spice the beer. Woo! Way to go, guys. Awesome deal. Yeah, we just won some guy $1 million. Hey, remember, guys, drink the cold stuff, spray the warm stuff.
That's awesome.
He's right there in the picture, see him?
Don't you love that? Kurt was so happy. Yeah, it's Miller time, baby. I just won a guy $1 million. That's even, I mean, he was so cognizant of the fact that some fan, because of a promotion, won $1 million. What an exciting race, a lot of action, a lot of stuff going on. Get you a scanner and listen to that stuff. We highlight it, but it gets intense during the course of a race from everybody.
And don't think that the fans are the only ones that read the articles, because we heard Carl say the media is going to have to change what they wrote.
Yeah,
we had
Before the race.
Before the race.
we had to move our darn line.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
I keep wanting you to move it down where behind me.
This week
It could happen.
Yeah, you
Right.
could be back, bud.
Yeah, if we had 5 more races, I got a chance, right?
Let's campaign. Let's write in and tell NASCAR to add 2 more.
Yeah.
2 more races?
2 more races.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we'll have a preview of Phoenix, which is a track with 2 distinctively different corners and a dog leg. No other track can say that. Opinions will vary during our Hot Lap segment. Which, or would 30 races instead of 36 be better for NASCAR? We'll find out from the guys.
The Greatest Pit Crew has been presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Catch NASCAR Race Hub this week at 7:30 p.m. on Speed. Guests in the studio this week include Martin Truex and his little brother Ryan and Ricky Carmichael. NASCAR Race Hub, 7:30 Eastern, every Monday through Thursday on Speed. We've been racing at the Phoenix International Raceway since 1988. The most recent race, April 18th, Mark Martin led 157 of 312 laps for the win.
All right, Mark, nice job qualifying, nice work. Just do what we do here all night long, guys.
The crowd stands as one, and the green flag goes up in the air. Great jump from Mark Martin.
Little tight in the center, but nothing to worry about. Seems to be pretty fast here. Better than the leader there, buddy, about a half 10. I believe you, but he sure looks like he's getting further away. This race is going to be over in a minute or 2. We got to pull something out of our ass and get us to track position.
As the sun sets, the track begins to cool. The handling changes on these race cars. Some guys will hit it, some guys will miss it.
Still need grip up off, bud. What's it look like? Won't turn, then the butter's loose.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. wiggles off the corner, and here comes Mark Martin.
He's the leader? Yes, sir, that's the leader. All right. So there he goes.
Mark Martin and most all the leaders are on the pit road.
Go, go, go.
4 fresh Goodyear Eagles down and away.
Hold it, horn.
Ryan Newman stay on the racetrack, and everybody at Phoenix on their feet. They know this is going to be a good one. Martin goes to the high side of the racetrack, and Martin to the lead on turn 2.
Well, Mark Martin has waited for 4 years to go back to victory lane, and he has done it.
Mark Martin, you are unbelievable, buddy. You are the man. I love driving your car. Thank you.
The neat thing about Phoenix fans is you see there's places to pass at that racetrack. 2 distinctive corners, the dog leg in the back straightaway, heavy braking getting into one, a pretty neat pit road all in all. So I get excited about Phoenix. And, Mark Martin should have won not just that race. When he was driving for DEI, he also had a shot of winning that race with the Army car.
That was last fall.
That was last fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Michael. And he ran out of fuel. He didn't really run out of fuel. He argued with the crew chief about the fuel mileage.
Hitting or not.
And he felt like Jimmy Johnson pitted at the same time. He has as much fuel as Jimmy did. But at the end, Jimmy won it because he stayed out. But stay tuned. Phoenix will be a cool place, guys.
Double file or side-by-side restart?
Double file.
No, it's double file.
Shootout style. Say it right.
Shootout style.
Shootout style.
That's much better. Let's take a look at how our chasers do at PIR in the Valley of the Sun. Jimmy Johnson has won 3 of the last 4 races there. Mark Martin, also a 2-time winner.
Yeah, and as we look down through there, Jeff Gordon never had as much success there as you would think. And Tony Stewart's won, Kurt's won. And Greg, you've had a lot of success there in the trucks and the nation.
Greg, didn't you run out of gas in the Cup Series there a couple years ago?
Yeah, the 48, I was catching him. I was running him down when he won. And just didn't catch him in time. We were going to, and then one time we were leading and had to pit for gas. So we run very well there. I like that racetrack. I can't wait.
Well, you're from out that way.
Yep.
That's your side of the.
That's my side of the country.
Roger that.
When you go up on Rattlesnake Hill, Jimmy, you were talking about the track layout. Go up on Rattlesnake Hill and look down there between turns 3 and 4. For a 1-mile track, it has a lot of character.
It does. I went up there and watched the West race or whatever they had there last time. Took the golf cart, went up.
You went to Rattlesnake Hill?
Yeah, I went up there, sat by myself, and watched the race.
Did you have a margarita?
Nope.
They saw Margaret.
I had to race the next day. So.
What I love about Phoenix is the fans that come there. They come from Canada. They come from all over the West Coast, central part of the United States. Just a great event. There's a lot of excitement for the racing at Phoenix because of that hill you talked about, but mainly because of the intense action on that 1 mile track.
That used to be the border of Mexico and the United States up there on top of Rattlesnake Hill.
Oh, now we're going to a geography lesson.
I did not know that.
There's a marker up there.
Geography. That's just what we need on this.
I ran out of gas right after I towed the Bobby Allison Richard Petty factoid and the 26-second win, the longest since '93. I did not have anything about the geography of the Phoenix area. That's why you're the host.
For now. Up next, hot laps. Let the arguing begin. We know Montoya, Martin, and Vickers have been surprises this season. Well, who's been a disappointment? We'll find out. This Week in NASCAR will be right back. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Boys are talking about how unique Phoenix International is. One of the most unique aspects of it is the curved pit road. It takes a very hard left-hand turn there in turn 1. Does that present any challenges for pitting?
Well, I think it's interesting that even though that's the turningest part of the pit road, it's still the most desirable.
You said turningest.
I know, and
Yeah,
I don't think that's a word.
I don't think so.
But
What if you snuck out that little opening right there?
I think David Hoos can call you back in for a 2 or 3 lap.
I've been sitting here with Spencer. He makes up words all the time. Why can't I throw one in every now and then?
You're more educated than me, Michael. But you know, the neat thing about the pit road is that you have that access road coming out there, guys. And there's a lot to be said. If you do make a green flag stop, you know merging. There's a lot to be said about an access to back on pit road. You just don't merge right out. So that's what makes Phoenix pit road, I think, pretty special.
Greg, at Martinsville, turn 1, the final or first pit stall, however you look at it, is an advantage. How about at Phoenix?
Yeah, I mean, I think,
That's
the
one
first,
you pick first, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think the first pit box everywhere is going to be an advantage, just simply because you only have to go about 10 feet. You don't have to get up to that 35 miles an hour, and you can jump a lot of guys being in that. But under green, it won't make a difference.
We had a lot for you at Texas, still a lot at...
You can't have as much as you had for, Texas was... Can you back that up, what you did at Texas?
We could. We were on the air for 10 hours.
I know. Can you imagine those cameramen and women and all the people behind the scenes of Speed that made all that work? That was awesome.
It was, and they work hard. Well, nationwide practice, Truck Series qualifying, Truck Series race, and trackside at 10:30. It's time for my favorite segment of This Week in NASCAR, Hot Laps, Hot Laps. Everybody's going to answer this question, actually 3 questions. Michael Waltrip, would a shorter schedule benefit the teams and NASCAR?
I like the schedule the way it is. 38 weekends during the course of the season. It keeps our sport on the pages of the newspapers and on TV all year long. I think we need that. I love that.
Shorter schedule, Greg, yes or no?
I think by a couple races wouldn't hurt. One being Martinsville might be a good start for me.
How do you do at Martinsville, Greg?
Not very good. No, I think a few races wouldn't hurt to shorten.
This is purely speculation because it won't happen, but surely if NASCAR would cut the schedule to 30 races or 31 even, it would be a big benefit to put more demand on the ticket, and it would give the fans less options. They just can't consistently go to wherever they want to. You start shortening it up, it would be better demand on the ticket. It would be better for NASCAR.
All right, Spence, question number 2. Would shorter races make better racing, say 400 miles instead of 500?
Not everywhere. I think you gotta have the Daytona 500. You gotta have the Coke 600. But I think Pocono is way too long. I think a lot of the tracks at 500 miles, Texas, I think, is too long. But at the end of the day, I think you can. Michael had said about this, and I agreed with him. You need to have a couple that are special. There's no doubt, Michael, right or wrong. 500, 600, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the shorter race would make it better.
Let's go to Greg next.
I do too. I think shorter races will make it more exciting. You'd see more action or just as much action, and not significantly. Maybe not all from 500 to 400. Maybe there's a middle ground in there. But I think
a 420 in Nashville.
I think a shorter race would be a little bit better in spots.
Yeah, I think you got to save 4 races. You save Texas as one of our crown jewels, the Coco 600, Daytona 500, and the Southern 500, and make those 4 races be big deals along with the Brickyard 400, and then majors, if you will, and then make everything else be 300 or 400 miles. I think that would enhance, make those races be more significant, but yet enhance the competition and make our racing more entertaining at some of the other joints.
All right, Juan Pablo Montoya has been a very pleasant surprise. David Rudiman and Marcos Ambrose certainly. Who's been a disappointment in 2009?
I would put top of my list David Reagan. He raced right up next to the chase in 2008.
Almost made it.
Almost made it, and new kid, rookie with Roush Racing. It looked like he was heading in a great direction. Nothing from him this year. We haven't heard anything out of him at all, so he would be at the top of my list.
Won a couple nationwide races. All right, Greg, who's been a disappointment to you?
Well, I think, not really a disappointment, but just, never got there was Dale Jr. You look at it, how many times has he run in the top 5? Got wrecked at, I think, Loudon, running up front. Got this weekend, ran out of gas and ran up front, qualified, I think, 3rd or 4th. He has been there so much, and they've run well. They just have not finished well.
I have more than one, but quickly to say it is because the producer said I'm out of time. But I think Childress has camped all 3 cars in the chase last year. No wins at all this year. No cars in the chase this year. We know Harvick wanted to leave. I'm very upset. The Caterpillar, I'm a big Caterpillar nut. They haven't been in the winner's circle. So Childress, for me, is pretty disappointing.
Plus Roush, who would have thought that Jamie Murray has the most wins of anybody there?
Yeah.
Except for
our only win.
Oh, yeah.
Besides
him.
You couldn't top what happened last week.
Hang on,
that was
Jim.
awesome.
When Twin returns, Kyle Busch was on fire this weekend, but he almost didn't make it to the finish of the truck race, nationwide and truck highlights. Next, you're watching This Week in NASCAR. NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot from Phoenix International. Of course, Jimmy Spencer's on there with Kenny Wallace, John Roberts, handsome Hermie Sadler, and Wendy Venturini this Sunday at 12:30 Eastern. Well, as Michael said, Kyle Busch was just 3 laps shy of sweeping all 3 races at Phoenix International. On Friday, he won the Camping World Truck Series race, his 16th win in that series. On Saturday, his 29th career win in the Nationwide Series.
We're underway at Texas Motor Speedway. Problems on the backstretch. The 73 into the wall.
That's Ben Stancil. Hard contact for that 73 truck. See, Ben Stancil just gets a little bit loose up off of turn number 2. He had the 41 truck of Mark Mitchell behind him, make some pretty hard contact with the inside wall. Look how close he was to our point leader, Ron Hornaday. Now, you don't see Ron yet. Look at him get a little bit loose now. Ron's going to try to get up inside. Look how close that is. Murray does a great job staying off Ron. He just got a little bit behind in his steering, but did a nice job keeping that truck out of the wall. Yeah, he's wanting right now to worry Ron Hornaday to death. He's going to get right on his rear tailgate there. Ron said, hey, enough. Uncle. Ron says uncle. I don't know if...
Hornaday has to catch it. Racing for the lead. Kyle Busch takes it away from Hornaday. Hornaday taking a deep breath right now. Kyle Busch comes to the start-finish line. Kyle Busch wins in Texas. The win percentage for Kyle Busch. That's 24% here in the Camping World Truck Series.
It just went up a little.
It went up a little bit. Yeah. Impressive.
The green flag is flying, and we're racing here at Texas. Right there is the margin between first and second, Kenseth and Kyle Busch, and Kyle is closing.
Coming in a hurry, he is. Don't let him go, man.
And there he goes, just zipping around him.
Oh, caution. Oh, Joey Logano. Wow. There he is. Wow.
Just chewed that left rear tire up and just blew it out going down the straightaway, and he gets down to turn 3 there and doesn't make the entry.
And oh no, Stephen Wallace into the wall. Also Michael Annett.
Michael Annett trying to go by on the high side. You see the 66 car get a little bit loose, slide up in the 15 of Michael Annett. Had a run and just got into the back of him.
Boy, Tony Raines just gets by. It'll be his 29th career win in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and 4 in a row here at Texas for Kyle Busch.
2 days at Texas, 2 victories for him.
You see that bow? That's the 19th time that Kyle Busch has done that this season. That's amazing. What a great, great job that kid's doing behind the wheel of his car and his truck. The truck race was awesome. We didn't know if he had enough gas. We didn't know if Matt Crafton wasn't going to run him down. They were all over each other.
Didn't have enough gas on Sunday.
Well, you just needed a little bit more to have that triple play.
And Jimmy, you said it, 272-point lead now over Carl Edwards. Kyle has in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, I think that both championships are over as far as the Nationwide and the Truck Series. The truth be known, even if Hornaday loses 60 or 80, it's still not.
Well, another interesting thing, though, is Harvick and Billy Ballou are racing hard for that Owners' Championship. That is now less than 100 points, so that's another thing to watch, to see if tune in on Speed Friday night and see if Hornaday can hold on not only the point lead as a driver, but
it's an awesome race. It's an awesome race at Phoenix.
7:30 Eastern, Friday night. Rick Allen, Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons, X-Ray Dunlap, and Adam Alexander, AA.
With Chris DeVota doing the
setup.
Hey, up next on Supercars Exposed, host Tanner Faust takes a joyride in a brand new Eleanor and does a movie recreation. Eleanor is a 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback. 11 Eleanors were used in the film Gone in 60 Seconds. Only 3 made it through unscathed. Sounds like Talladega. Supercars Exposed coming up next at 9 Eastern, right here on Speed. Once again, here's the Kurt Busch picture to be given away. To enter the Picture of the Week giveaway, go to speedtv.com, click the Shows tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page, and you'll see an email tab at the top. Put fuel mileage in the subject line, and you're entered.
Looks like Chad Knaus standing.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by Target. Expect more, pay less. And by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today.
Time now for our ZMAX Fuel for Thought email segment. Do the engine tuners rejet the carburetor on Sunday mornings before the race, or do they stay with what was used in happy hour? Jimmy Spencer.
No, they have the option to adjust the fuel that goes in it, and they naturally look at the barometer and the temperature and are we racing into the night and things like that. So they have the option of changing that and fine-tuning it for the conditions that they're going to race under that day.
Question number 2, does NASCAR have a recycling program for all of the tires used in the races, Michael Waltrip?
NASCAR and Goodyear partners with another company that does indeed have a recycling program, and I've got some fake grass in my yard, and you dump tire rubber, chumped up tire rubber in it, and it gives it a better feel and a better look when you're walking in it. So I use some of that recycled rubber.
Chumped up rubber.
Chumped up, it's shaved.
That's what they fish with, chump.
That's chum, I think.
Does the spare ignition box have the same spark map and rev limiter as the main box, Craig Biffle?
Well, now different teams do different things. Some have a 200 RPM higher rev limiter on the B box and the same timing, and some teams have different timing in the second box. You're allowed to do whatever you want. Our particular team uses the same spark map in both because if one fails, you have to go to the other one.
I'll tell you a funny story. I won the Winston in '96. One of the dudes on the Wood Brothers team came up to me and he said,
wait till the last lap.
He said, when we get down late, flip to the B box. You got 2 more degrees of timing. He walked off and I went, I was like, I'm going to need that right now.
You know what's cool, though, about this week going into Phoenix? We got a point battle on our hand. Mark Martin won there in the past. Jimmy struggled this weekend with that accident. So I think, guys, it's going to be pretty interesting going into Phoenix now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see what that line
does. Maybe we can move that
week.
Yellow line down.
Well,
we got to get it down for Greg.
Yeah.
And invite Greg back into the...
I think the fans ought to email and text Michael and everybody and just say, Greg, you're a good guy. We're going to give you 125 points.
And
Thank you.
Get you back over the line. You can just Twitter me if you want. I'm on there. I talk to people all the time. The fans love that stuff. I love our sport right now because you can gain information everywhere. The best place to gain it from Texas, though, was right here on Speed. Are you going to repeat that performance? I want to hear it.
Absolutely we are. What is it, MW55?
Yeah.
I checked it out.
You did? What did you think about me?
I think you say funny things just like you do here.
Yeah, and I also think that I'm informative occasionally, Greg.
You don't put your foot behind your head on that thing, do you?
No, I'm
Not on Twitter.
I can't.
You should take.
You use the word occasionally, and you're right. It's slim none occasionally.
Well, Jimmy, we're just trying to squeak it out in here. Just a little bit of information any way we can give it. What do you think? Who's your favorite for this weekend? We're going to Phoenix. Mark Martin a couple of times he won it last time we were there. You like Mark Martin. You can't pick yourself. Who do you think?
I think that I think the 11. You know, they ran good at,
that's a good call. You remember when
Tony Stewart's been quiet in this chase too, Mike.
Yes. And you know the thing about Denny Hamlin, I remember the first day he showed up was Phoenix and he sat on the pole. I'm like, where did this cat come from? He just showed up, knew how to race a car.
I'm going to be like John Roberts. I'm going to pick the Biff.
There you go.
Nice.
Stick with the Biff.
Congratulations, Kurt Busch.
Yeah, congratulations.
Hey, join us here next week at 8 o'clock, and don't forget, action starts in Phoenix Friday.